I was 14, I started waking up with dirt on my feet. At first, I thought I was sleepwalking. Then I woke up standing in my attic, in total darkness, and I wasn't alone. The worst part, I don't think whatever was up there was surprised to see me. Most kids are afraid of basements. I wasn't. I was afraid of our attic. Not because it was small, not because it was dark, but because you could stand anywhere up there and never see the whole room. Our attic wasn't cramped like normal attics. You didn't have to crouch. It was tall, wide, spacious, and that made it wrong. The beams were uneven, some thick, some thin, some angled for no clear reason. The floor shifted in strange elevations. Certain areas dipped slightly. Others rose just enough to trip you. From one corner you couldn't see the opposite wall. There was always a blind spot, always somewhere something could stand, and you wouldn't know. My parents treated it like storage, and nothing more. They avoided it unless absolutely necessary. I didn't question it then. I should have. It started small. One morning, I woke up and the bottoms of my feet were gray. Not just dusty, dirty, fine grit between my toes. Insulation fibers stuck to my skin. I stared at them for a long time. I hadn't gone outside. I hadn't left my room. I washed them and forgot about it. 3 days later, I found an old cardboard photo box sitting on my bedroom floor, the kind we kept in the attic. I asked my mom about it. She assumed I'd been snooping. I hadn't. Then an old brass lamp appeared on my desk. I recognized it instantly. It had been sitting in the far left corner of the attic for years. That's when it clicked. I wasn't just sleepwalking. I was going up there and bringing things back. My parents weren't overly concerned. It's common, they said. You'll grow out of it. But something about it felt wrong. Because I wasn't waking up confused in the hallway. I wasn't wandering into the kitchen. It was always the attic. Always that place. And the more I thought about it, the less sense it made. The attic wasn't safe to walk in the dark. The beams alone could split your skull if you misjudged one step. Yet I never had a bruise, never a scratch. After that realization, bedtime became torture. I would lie awake for hours, trying to resist sleep, because sleep meant the attic. Every morning became a ritual. Open eyes. Don't move. Slowly lift the blanket. Check the feet. Clean. Relief. Dirty. Panic. Some nights they were clean. Some nights they weren't. On the dirty nights, I'd sit on the edge of my bed and try to imagine what I'd done up there. What had I touched? Where had I stood? Was I just walking? Or was I doing something else? Then it happened. I woke up. But something was wrong. It wasn't morning. The air felt colder, heavier. I tried to roll over. I couldn't. Because I wasn't lying down. I was standing. My brain lagged behind reality. For several seconds, I genuinely thought I was still dreaming. Then the smell hit me. Dust, dry wood, insulation, the attic. I was upright, barefoot, in total darkness. No light from the small window, no moon glow, nothing. Just thick, suffocating black. I couldn't see my hands in front of my face. My heart started pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. I didn't know where I was positioned. I didn't know how close I was to the beams, or how close I was to the edge where the insulation dipped. One wrong step, and I could go straight through the ceiling. I didn't move. I couldn't. Then I felt it. That awareness. That instinct that something else was present. I wasn't alone. I don't know how I knew. I just did. And then, a soft thud behind me. Not loud, but deliberate. Like someone shifting their weight. I stopped breathing, my ears strained. Another sound, from the left, closer this time. A slow dragging movement across wood. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream for my parents, but something in my brain screamed louder. Don't. If you make noise, it will know you're awake. I don't know why I thought that, but it felt certain. Like a rule I had always known. I took one slow step forward, The floor creaked under my weight. Silence. Then a faint scrape, matching my movement. I wasn't imagining it. Whatever was there was moving when I moved. Tears streamed down my face silently. I stretched my arms out and shuffled forward inch by inch. The attic felt bigger than ever, endless. Every second felt like an hour. At one point I heard breathing, slow, measured, not mine, behind me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Because some part of me believed that if I saw it, it would become real. Eventually my fingers brushed the wooden frame of the hatch. I nearly collapsed with relief. I fumbled for the latch and dropped down the ladder so fast I scraped my leg. I ran to my parents' room and broke down. I told them everything. The sounds, the movement, the breathing. My dad went up with a flashlight. He came down less than 2 minutes later. There's nothing up there, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. After that night, the sleepwalking stopped. Completely. No more dirty feet, no more missing objects, nothing. And that should have been comforting, but it wasn't, because I don't think it stopped on its own. I think something changed. Sometimes I wonder, how long had I been standing up there before I woke up? Minutes? Hours? And if I had stayed asleep, would I have kept walking? Or would I have turned around and seen what was standing in the dark with me? I'm older now. I don't live there anymore. But sometimes when I wake up in the middle of the night, I have this horrible sensation, like I'm not lying down, like I'm standing, and something behind me is waiting for me to open my eyes again. We found a hidden room in our attic. That's not the part that scares me. The part that still keeps me awake is this. There was no door, no entrance, no way in, and yet the walls inside were covered in markings, layer over layer, as if someone had spent years in there, trapped or hiding. And the notebooks we found proved one thing. Whoever wrote them knew what was inside that space, even after it had already been sealed shut. I was 15 when my dad decided I was finally old enough to get the Christmas decorations from the attic by myself. That attic had always felt off to me. It was huge, way too big for the size of the house. The house had been in our family for generations. My dad grew up there. So did his parents. No one ever questioned the structure. Old houses are just weird, right? That's what everyone says. I climbed up the ladder and pulled the light chain. The bulb flickered before settling into a weak yellow glow. Dust floated in the air like suspended ash. I immediately realized I hadn't listened to a single word my dad had said about which boxes to grab, and going back downstairs to ask again wasn't an option. He hated repeating himself. So I started opening random boxes. 20 minutes later, the attic was a disaster. That's when I noticed something in the far corner. A black box, not cardboard, something sturdier, older. It didn't look like it belonged with the holiday decorations and storage bins. It looked deliberate, hidden. I don't know why I opened it. Curiosity, I guess. Inside were stacks of papers, dozens, maybe hundreds, notebooks, loose pages, hand-drawn floor plans. Every page was covered in handwriting. At first it looked like a diary. The earliest entries were calm, weather observations, household chores, normal daily thoughts. But even then, something felt off. The writer mentioned the attic constantly. The temperature, the airflow, the dimensions. Then the measurements started. Repeatedly. They had drawn the layout of the house, then the attic. And according to their calculations, the attic was too small. Several feet were missing along the north wall. They wrote about it obsessively, measured the floorboards, measured the exterior wall from outside, compared the numbers again and again. The math never matched. There was space unaccounted for. The handwriting began to change around this point. It became tighter, more frantic, indented deeper into the paper, like the pen was being pressed too hard. Then came the sounds. 2:14 a.m. Scratching. 3 minutes. 3:02 a.m. Breathing behind north wall. 1:47 a.m. Tapping. Patterned. The writer started sleeping in the attic, waiting, listening. They described pressing their ear against the wall, feeling vibrations, warmth. At one point they wrote, "It breathes when I breathe." That line made my stomach drop. As I kept reading, the entries spiraled. They began documenting small cracks in the wall, tiny imperfections. They claimed the cracks were growing, expanding, like something on the other side was pushing outward. Then came the part that made my hands shake. One entry read, "The wall was open before. I can feel it." But according to the structure of the house, it had never been opened, at least not in recent history. The last few pages weren't even sentences, just tally marks, rows and rows of them, counting something or someone. And then it stopped. No final note, no explanation, just silence. I felt like I was holding something I wasn't supposed to see, but I couldn't stop myself. I walked to the north wall, the one mentioned in almost every entry, and I saw it. Faint cracks, small indents in the wood paneling, subtle, but exactly where the writer had described. A wave of nausea hit me. I grabbed the box and ran downstairs. My dad had never seen it before. He said it wasn't my grandfather's handwriting, which meant whoever wrote it lived there before him, and no one in our family knew who that was. We went back up together. My dad examined the wall more carefully than I had. He ran his fingers along the cracks. Then he stepped back, silent, thinking. Then he said something I didn't expect. "We're opening it." He got tools from the garage. I remember the first strike of the hammer. The sound was too hollow. There was definitely space behind it. When the paneling finally gave way, a rush of stale, trapped air poured out. Cold, dry, wrong. Behind the wall was a long, narrow space, several feet deep, running the entire length of the attic, a hidden room. But there was no entrance, no hatch, no crawl space access. The only way in was through the wall we had just broken, and the walls inside were covered. Black markings, lines overlapping lines, symbols that weren't letters. Not quite shapes either. Some of them looked like tally marks. Others looked like crude figures. But the longer you stared, the less they made sense. They layered over each other, years of repetition. The wood was scratched beneath them. Deep gouges, as if something had carved into it repeatedly. My dad stepped inside. His flashlight beam shook slightly. We both realized something at the same time. There was no dust on the floor. The attic floor outside was layered with decades of dust, but inside the hidden space, the floor was cleaner, disturbed, recently. That's when my dad went quiet, really quiet. We searched the entire cavity. No objects, no bones, nothing, just markings and clawed wood. On the drive later, my dad said something that's never left me. The person who wrote those notebooks wouldn't have neatly stored them in a box. He was right. The entries were obsessive, compulsive, unstable. Whoever organized them did it carefully, deliberately, which meant someone else found them. My grandfather. He must have known, and never told anyone. But here's the part that still doesn't make sense. Some entries describe details of the hidden space, the spacing of the beams, the grain of the interior wood. Details you could only know by standing inside it. But the wall had been sealed for decades. There was no other access point. So how did they know? Unless they were inside when it was sealed. Sometimes I wonder something worse. What if the tally marks weren't counting days? What if they were counting breaths, or footsteps, or nights they weren't alone in there? We sealed the wall back up, moved away years later. The box stayed in the attic. My dad didn't want it. He said some things are better left in walls, but I still think about that space, about how clean the floor was, about how the cracks in the wall weren't just random. They were pressure points from the inside, and sometimes I imagine it. The wall rebuilt, the attic quiet again, and something behind it, tracing the new wood, waiting, counting.